Hello and welcome back to our camel-focused series that has, well, slightly more turned into us just trying to survive, basically. But yeah, we kind of fought back a little bit, and we're not doing we're not doing too badly. However, there is a bit of an issue. This is the issue. Yes. we are we are declaring war against the Vlandians. This is obviously going to be extremely difficult for us to deal with. You see their combat strength. They have 18,000, which is the most out of pretty much anyone else in the entire game. So we are going to need to do something. As you can see, Mr. Andgar says the Vlandians will devour all of Calradia if we do not stop them. And so let us do that. Now, this is obviously something that I personally would have preferred to avoid for a little bit of time. You know, obviously it's inevitable that we would have to fight them eventually, but I personally would have appreciated a little bit of extra time just to, you know, do a little bit of other things, you know, do some other things, you know, just attacking other people, capturing other things, and so on. Obviously, the Southern Empire is actually still alive because they own Vostrum. We are going to be doing something about that, hopefully sometime soon. Now, we have a bit of an issue at Amprila here. I'd like to take this. I would like to take this with minimal casualties, so I am going to bombard them and just try to remove the catapults from the walls. I have attempted to use ballistas in the past, and it hasn't been that effective. So basically what I'm going to do is we'll just get the 3 trebuchets out here, and then I'm just going to put the trebuchets out, and hopefully that's going to be good enough for us to eliminate the catapults, and then we're just going to get these siege towers and a battering ram and so on and so forth, and just going to go at them like that. If we can get some of the walls down in the meantime, then that's absolutely fine too, and indeed if we actually have them run out of food, then that could also be a similar situation for us that's actually going to be kind of decent, because I might actually be able to take the town instantly because they don't have any militia available. As you can see, they literally have 0 troops, so I can literally just send them in and boom, there you go, done. That is actually quite funny. I was not expecting that for any second whatsoever, but there you go, that actually did happen. Now, one thing, this is something that I personally would love to see. I would love to see a situation where the base game implements some kind of other way for you to capture fiefs. I've spoken about this before, but this is very much more specific. I'm thinking about how it would be if you were to, let's say, for example, poison the water, or do something else. I don't know. Do something that would actually just inflict a little bit of extra damage, maybe to the militia inside the town or something along those lines. I feel like that would actually make a huge difference to the dynamicism of the siege warfare mechanics. Because as it stands right now, the siege warfare is very... I don't want to be too harsh about it, but the siege warfare is very... You either do this or you don't kind of situation, you know? And so, you know, when you're thinking about that and you think, well, I can't really do anything else in that situation, you know? These circumstances are only allowing me a certain course of action. So, for example, Melion Castle right here. Obviously, we are going to just... I feel like I should probably just go in straight away. But there is a catapult, you know, they built a catapult. There's only 1 catapult, however, so I guess we're just going to go straight on in. There we go, we'll just go straight on in this time. Now, obviously, before with Amprila, I was unable to build my siege camp before they had built all of their catapults. So that was obviously the reason why I was just going straight on in and, you know, trying to destroy them before doing any kind of assault. But this time, they only have 1 catapult, so it's highly unlikely, or at least I hope it's quite unlikely for them to really be able to do much. They are going to kill a couple of us, which is really annoying, but I can't really do much else apart from that. I mean, I could have built a siege tower or something like that, but I'm not sure if that would have really Is that actually good? Is that actually good for me to do? I don't know. Maybe it would have been a good idea. Anyway, I'm just going to get out my scimitar here, and I am very prepared. Get him! Kill him! Kill the guy that's getting the ladder! Yes! Nice. We pushed him away. Nice. Good work. Good work. Alright, now hopefully I can actually make a good stand here. Hopefully we can actually get onto the battlements and move these guys out. Are you serious? Are you serious right there? Did you see that? Did you see exactly what happened? Yeah, that was embarrassing on a whole new level. I'm not entirely sure what's actually going on here with these ladders, but not a particularly big fan. But I guess that is to be expected, isn't it? But otherwise, apart from that, I think we're fine. I think we're actually on the battlements now, and I don't think we need to worry about too much. Ah, these fellows are maybe attempting to retreat. I will not allow them to do that, thank you. We will just eliminate them. There we go. And we can also eliminate this fellow as well. He's not going to be blocking me. There we go. Very nice. And hello there. Oh, there's actually a lot of them inside. Yes, we're going to have to do something about this. Okay. Now, there are going to be some archers on the top here. I'm being blocked by the bowl. I'm being blocked by the bowl there that is used to light up the environment. That is funny. That is great, isn't it? Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, we hit this guy for 97 actually. 97 damage. And he still managed to live. Well, that's very good for him, isn't it? I actually feel like I'm very light on my feet right now. It feels like I'm actually doing pretty nicely in regards to our, you know, combat movement speed. And let's face it, that's something that I really, really love. Being able to move fast on your feet when you're in a field battle and you're on foot or in a siege, you know. It's super, super useful to be able to do that. You can just weave in and out of combat. You're going to really have a great time. It's going to feel so satisfying to actually be able to move away from opponents when you want to, instead of when, well, instead of when you're just running away and you still get hit because the enemy is just that much faster. But anyway, we actually want, what, 60 renown? 60 renown for that? I'm actually super surprised about that. I wasn't expecting so much renown, but okay. That's pretty nice. And we can now just take all of the loot, even though I'm actually doing pretty nicely in terms of cash right now. So I'm not entirely sure if we really badly need money. But I'm pretty happy with the way it is right now. Okay, so let's actually just level up all of these. Thank you. Just level up as many of them as we can. And yeah, I still need war mounts as well, by the way. Yeah, war mounts are still a thing, unfortunately. Number of people have been commenting about war mounts in the past, not so distant past. And yeah, apparently a lot of people are finding war mounts really, really easy to find. Now, I think that's probably because maybe they have taken a little bit longer to, shall we say, foster good relationships with a number of different villages in and around the area. And indeed, yeah, in my opinion, I think that's probably going to make a big difference. Because if you don't have good relationships with a lot of the various notables in some of the villages nearby, you're probably going to have some issues, because they're gonna be very unlikely to have a good prosperity in the village itself. It's the same thing with when you you know, when you get a town under your command and you have the ability to increase the hearth growth rate of the village. And when that happens, obviously your town is going to get wealthier. You are going to get wealthier as a result of that as well, because you just generally have more ways of improving your prosperity, because, you know, the villages that are tied to the town, they inherently increase the prosperity of the town itself, because, you know, they're constantly doing trading and, you know, all kinds of other stuff. So it really makes a huge difference. And I've actually done that a number of times in the past in various series. Most notably in the House Targaryen Realm of Thrones series. If you haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend it. If you want to see me riding around on a dragon and breathing fire on people, yeah, it's a lot of fun. But otherwise, apart from that, I did actually have control of a town that I was really, really pleased to have. And I wanted to try and build it up as much as I possibly could. And the best way for me to do that was by doing a bunch of the tasks there, and, you know, basically just keeping my, you know, getting my hearth growth rate as high as it possibly could be, and just leaving the default daily parameter on the entire time. And that made so much difference that my prosperity was growing at a rate of, I don't even know, 8 or 9 per day, maybe even more than that actually, maybe more, maybe less, I don't know, I can't remember specifically now, but it was growing so incredibly fast that we had about 8,000, 9,000 or something like that prosperity towards the end of the series, and it was just like, wow, okay, that's super, super nice. And that's kind of what you want. That's kind of what you want. And I had 100 relation with every single one of those notables. I had 100 relation with everyone, from people in the villages, people in the town itself, and it was just so simple for us to do that. However, I'm not talking about simple in terms of time spent. That is somewhere that we are going to have a very, very frank conversation. Because now here's the thing. To build up a town and to build up the villages and all that stuff to these levels, it takes a significant amount of time. And I had a mod by the name of Governors Handle Issues. So we don't need to do the tasks. That's the whole point. The governor will handle that as long as the garrison is, you know, powerful enough to deal with some of those tasks and everything. And that's going to make it a lot easier. So imagine if you are playing the base game and you don't have that mod available. Well, that's going to be pretty harsh then, isn't it? Yeah, you're going to have to do all those tasks yourself, which isn't that bad, obviously. It is not that difficult to do most of those tasks, but some of them can be annoying. They can be a bit of a pain. So it just makes it a little bit simpler. However, it still took a long time. It still took a massive amount of time for us to build up that town. And so much so that I think actual years in the game passed by. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure when I reached 100 relation, so do bear that in mind as well. I'm not entirely sure how long it took me to get to 100 relation with most of these fellows, but I'm just bringing that to your attention that these kinds of things do take quite some time to accomplish. So if you do want to try to, I don't know, get some relation with a particular town that deals in warhorses specifically, well, it's probably best to start that quite early. And most of the time, you may not even find a task in that particular village anyway, so you might have some issues even getting relation initially. So that's another one of those things that you're just going to have to be on the lookout for. Sometimes you'll be lucky and you'll find that, and sometimes you won't. Anyway, I am going to just take what I can here. I've got to be a little bit careful. Wow, we've got a lot of noble troops right there. Yes, huge amount of noble troops being rescued. Well, shall we say captured, and then they are going to be converted to join me, of course. And that's kind of what we want to do. And yeah, we've got 72 people that just leveled up. Obviously, most of these are not actually going to be able to even do that because we don't have enough war mounts, but that's the reason why I kind of feel like, hey, you know what? I think a really, really good way to go about the whole warhorse situation, obviously if you don't have a bunch of villages that are specifically, you know, fostered to make sure that you have, you know, a decent amount of relation with all these fellows. If you don't have that prepared in, you know, in prior, you know, needing or requirement of the warhorses, then I feel like another solution could literally just be to make it so that you can use noble mounts as a substitute for the warhorses. Because if you actually take a look at my inventory right now, you can see here I have 38 of these noble mounts. 38 of these noble mounts. So it would be really, really useful for us to actually use those instead of war mounts. But unfortunately, I don't have any. I don't have any of those. So it's yeah. I mean, I've got some of these as well, and yeah, I basically have no war mounts whatsoever. But that's probably just because we've been using them to level up. But that is the point, nevertheless. What I'm trying to say is, it is going to take a little bit of extra time. Oh, hello. Okay. They want to pay 550. I thought we already made peace with them. Did we not? What? Did they take something from me? No, they didn't. No. Okay. Apparently we weren't at peace, but yeah, as we found out in a previous episode, they do own this castle and this town, which is... Oh, it grinds my gears to see that, but it's fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll be able to take that without too many issues. Or at least I hope so. Anyway, Onira is calling to me right now, so we are probably going to be ending up taking that. There is Sanit. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing. You know what I'm actually going to do, though? I'm going to be executing the new Sultan, which is Mr. Tarek here, and he has now been eliminated. And we're going to see what we can do about this town. I'm hopeful that they are just going to ignore me. And, no, of course they are not. Okay, well, let's actually just see. What are they all about? Do they have good units or do they have terrible units? It seems to me like they have mostly terrible units, so we shouldn't really have to worry about them too much, but this is always going to be a factor. Every single time we go into a battle here, it's always going to be a bit of a problem with the amount of troops that they have. You can see here that they have 649, we have 310. So, of course... This is inevitably going to be a little bit, maybe a little bit dicey, you know, a little bit dicey. Hopefully we're going to be able to, yeah, well, hopefully we'll be fine. It's just very much a case of, well, are we going to be fine? Are we not going to be fine? I'm going to put Amnon the Surgeon over there so he can actually lead one of these, you know, cavalry forces. I'm actually not entirely sure. Where are all my companions? Seems like I don't have any companions with me right now. It's kind of weird. I thought I had some people, but maybe I made them into parties or something like that, and that's the reason why they're not with me right now. That is probably the reason. But yeah, we're probably going to have to do something about that in due time as well. We'll probably try to call them back to me or something. And I'm just being reminded now as to how powerful the camel actually is. It does so much damage. It's really, really nice to see, actually. Look at how much damage it does with the charge. This is the kind of charge damage that you want to see. It absolutely is. Because when I see a horse doing 1 damage, even though the thing is literally, I don't know, 400, 500, 600 pounds, or I don't even know. I don't even know how heavy horses are. I don't know how heavy they are, but they're heavy. They're heavy. And if you have one of those things run into you, you're probably going to have some issues. You're probably going to break your little finger at least. I'm obviously joking. It's probably going to, you know, grievously wound you in some way or another, but, you know, all I'm saying is it should do more damage than just 1, at least in my opinion. But obviously we got to think from a gameplay perspective as well, but I think that the camel has a much better charge damage, and I'm very, very satisfied by the amount that it actually does. So that's quite nice, at least. And can we actually eliminate some of these guys here as well? Yes, there we go. Thank you. Got to be a little bit careful about some of these enemies coming over the hill here, because we really don't want to get taken down. If I get taken down, that's going to be a significant morale loss for our allies, and it may even cause some of our people to reconsider actually fighting in the battle itself. So that's kind of why I'm being a bit more proactive in regards to attacking things all over the place. Now, you know, usually I am going to usually be wading in most of the time. However, I'm maybe not going to be as aggressive when it comes to killing enemies. But this time around I am being aggressive because I very much want to cause more morale damage than the opponent can cause to us. Because retreat is one of the main things that you've got to consider in larger battles. Because if you do get some really nice killing sprees going on, where you actually do have a number of enemy units die in quick succession, then you have a much greater chance of causing them to panic and causing them to run away. And that makes all the difference in the world to being able to achieve victory with minimal losses. That's kind of what I want to do here. Nice. An enemy leader has just been taken down by us right there. Maybe we can actually get another one. Because if we can eliminate the enemy leaders, that is also going to have a profound effect on the enemy's morale. There's another one. Nice. Wow, I'm actually surprised that we were able to get both of those. And can we get another one here? Maybe? I'm actually not entirely sure where the other ones are, but I'm trying my best to find them. They're obviously still going to be on mounts, but that's actually one of those funny things in this game. Because if you have been watching me for a while, you may know from some of our previous series that the way the morale system works is quite funny. or shall we say the way the retreat system works. That's a little bit more accurate, I suppose. But basically, whenever we've had a battle where things have come down to the wire, and I'm talking about very close, I'm talking about a handful of units on either side. I'm talking, 10 versus 10, or 5 versus 5 in certain situations. We've come down really, really close to us being defeated. And in those situations, the main reason why we don't see a retreat from the enemy, even though we're actually doing much, much better initially, and only when it comes down to 10 versus 10 or so, that's when we start to see the disparity. Because at the very, pinnacle of the fight, we are winning. And then you may think, okay, well, if you're winning, then why do they not retreat? That's because they still have an enemy lord on the battlefield. You see? So for example, if we want them to retreat, we need to remove all sources of morale, which would be enemy vassals, of course. So for them, that would be their allied lords and their allied vassals and so on. And if you can remove all of those, it's much more likely that the opponent is going to retreat. And so I've had situations where I have literally had the enemy outnumbered, where I have actually lesser troops. So let's just say that I have, pretty medium tier troops. And we're going against people that are slightly higher tier. And I've had situations where we outnumber them. So we've got, I don't know, I'm just going to give a random number here. We've got, 125. Something like that, 125, the enemy has 50, they diminish our numbers down to about 50 as well. We have them at 25, and then we diminish them once again to 10, they get us to 10, and they're still not retreating though. That's the whole point. The first initial thing that we do is that they just don't retreat, because their lord is still alive. If we could have eliminated their lord much earlier in the battle, you can best bet they would have, at least a couple of them, might have decided to retreat. A couple of battalions might have panicked, and a number of other things would have happened in our favor. But that is not what happens. You see, that is not what happens, because obviously you've got to find these fellows first. That's the point. You've got to find them. And that's the big deal, because sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you are literally just out of luck. You just cannot find any of the enemy lords. Either they are, at the outskirts of the battle or something along those lines, and they're making things very, very difficult to, track them down. But if you can eliminate them, you're going to have a great time, and you're going to be able to do some really, really nice damage, and morale is hopefully going to be impacted as a result of them being eliminated. We've seen that happen time and time again as well, where we have actually done a decent job of eliminating quite a few enemy troops, and then we kill an enemy lord, and very shortly after you see a bunch of them running away. And then you think, oh yes, that's exactly what we wanted. That's great. I got 13 warhorses as well, apparently, which is quite nice. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, what's actually going on here with Judira? We're going to actually have to do something with all of these prisoners, actually, and I think I'm going to execute them. I am actually going to be executing every single one of these. I know that I have, I've basically been doing this against the Aserai and against specific factions, not actually been doing this against every single one, because obviously if we execute every single time we get captures or we get people in our prisoners' hold, it's going to turn things a little bit too simple, because that's generally what I've done in the past. My original series, that had that kind of situation happening too. But obviously, my original series was way back. That was literally, I don't even know, what, was it 4 years ago? Really? Was it really 4 years ago at this point? I actually have no idea. I think it was a pretty fair amount of time ago. And in that way, well, no one had done it before. No one had executed every single vassal on the map, and, well, to be fair, in that series, I am actually unable to complete my task because of a bug. Yes, because of a bug, because I actually wanted to execute every single one that I could, but I didn't have the opportunity to do so because 2 vassals, I think, were like, I don't know, off the map somewhere. They were stuck off the map and I couldn't get to them somehow. I don't know, but obviously that was early access way back when, and, you know, these kinds of things happen. But we were one of the first to do it. We were one of the first to, you know, execute every single vassal, and I basically had no issues at all at that point. Or we should have had no issues at all. Of course, we just had to capture a bunch of fiefs at that point as well, but, you know, you get my point. Anyway, we are just going to be going into a battle here, just nice little auto-resolves for them. And who is Akthon? Who is Akthon? Who is that? Is he actually an Aserai vassal, or... Seems like he might be. Gonna have a look. Akthon. Of the Legion of the Betrayed. Okay, so he is literally a mercenary, so I probably should have let him go, all things considered, but... Oh well, never mind. Not much I can do about that now. Let's just level up every single person that we can. We got a lot of level ups, actually. Very, very nice. I just wish we had more war horses, to be honest. Okay, so they have 346 here, 465 in Danustica, and we are just continuing to eliminate as many of these Aserai vassals as we can. Judira is going to be going away as well, thank you very much. Akthon is just going to get released as soon as I can release him, because there is actually no point in... which is actually quite sad to me as well, but there's no point in actually executing minor factions because they just get infinitely respawned over and over again, unless you can get every single one of them in your prisoner's hold and then execute them all at the same time. That's the only way that you can actually eliminate a minor faction. So yeah, pretty sad actually that is indeed a thing. They are hard-coded to literally just, you know, remain in the game for as long as possible. Otherwise, apart from that, I'm actually going to do something a little bit different here. We're not going to be using any kind of siege engines or anything like that. I mean, obviously we're going to be using siege towers and battering rams and so on, but we're not going to use any ranged siege engines, so we're just going to leave them to it. Should I, though? I'm kind of wondering whether I should, because they've got catapults. And these catapults are going to do massive damage to our siege. So I'm kind of thinking right now, hey, you know what? Let's, should I just build catapults? Catapults are so much quicker to build. Ah, see, now I'm in two minds about it. I should have been building these all along. Oh, well, never mind. Okay, fine. We'll just do it and we'll see what happens. I'm very skeptical about how effective catapults are going to be, because I've seen them work really, really well sometimes, and other times they've just been absolutely useless. So it is very much a sort of a potluck situation where they may very well be amazing, but I'm kind of skeptical. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, no, they're actually doing well. They're actually doing much better than I anticipated. Okay, that's fantastic. Let's just eliminate that one, and then we can just go straight on in. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, that was much, much better than anticipated. I thought to myself, oh no, this is going to go really, really badly. All of my catapults are going to be eliminated really fast. But apparently not. Apparently not. We're actually going to get some wonderful things going on here, and we might actually be able to see some of our catapults dealing some damage to the enemy inside the walls, which would be amazing. That's definitely something that we've not really seen that often, and I personally feel like that's very satisfying. Well, it looks like here we are. We're climbing up this siege tower right here, and hopefully we're going to be able to at least gain a couple of kills. I actually I find it actually very fun to fight in siege battles, because this really gives me an opportunity to just have fun in sort of like a more urban environment, because obviously if you're going into a field battle, like a proper field battle, it's mostly just, you know, fields of grass and trees and sand if you're in Aserai territory, and snow if you're in Sturgeon territory, of course, and all that stuff. And that's all very well and good, of course. That's absolutely fine, because that's how it is in a medieval setting. However, personally, I actually really love fighting in the streets of a town, or in well, should we say, on the battlements of a castle, or something like that. I find that really, really enjoyable. And there it is. There's the victory for us. Not bad at all. Actually, very, very effective. I'm actually quite surprised that it was so effective, but there you go. Alright, so we do have a number of troops that we can indeed rescue here. Well, not rescue, but you know what I mean. Capture and then convert. I actually think I won't be taking any of them, to be honest. I think we're just going to leave them the way it is. And we're just going to take all of the loot once again. And I think what I'm going to do is, in the meantime, in my off-screen time, shall we say, I'm probably going to go and we'll probably take a couple of thieves off screen and then we'll see what happens. Because obviously the Aserai, they are very much on the back foot. I don't know whether you've noticed that already, but they are very much on the back foot. We're probably going to be able to... I'm going to assume we'll probably be able to... well, we might, shall we say, might be able to walk over them quite easily, but let's actually just see what happens. Because obviously you can see here, look at this. They actually have another army, which is pretty large. So, yeah, that's a bit worrying, actually. Let's just take a quick look at their diplomacy. The owner of Onira, I don't really care who that should be, to be honest. Any of these people should be absolutely fine to take care of it. Hopefully they will be able to. And let's take a look. Okay, so the Aserai, they still have 11,000 in total combat strength. That's actually extremely impressive considering the amount of prisoners that we have taken and the amount of prisoners that we have executed. That is extremely intimidating, actually, all things considered. I'm actually quite surprised. Anyway, the Vlandians are at war against Sturgia, and they seem to have lost a number of points of combat strength. Don't know how they even had that happen, but apparently it did. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.